quick note before we start. We recorded this episode just before Matt Urbanski flew to Albi, France to represent Team USA at the IAU 24-Hour World Championships. To give you a full update, he crushed it. He was 23rd overall in the world, covering a mind-staggering 255.985 kilometers or 159.06 miles in 24 hours. Absolute grit. Now on to the episode. Today's guest is Matt Urbanski, trail runner, trail coach, and co-founder of Team RunRun. Matt's raced everything from UTMB to Hardrock to 24-hour loops, and he's coached hundreds of athletes through the messy, beautiful realities of long-distance running, from the aerobic fundamentals to downhill skills, fueling, and the mental toolkit that you need when the wheels start to wobble late in the race. I'm Brant Stachel, former national team coach, registered psychotherapist, and mental performance coach. I'm the most reviewed coach on Team RunRun with over 100 5-star reviews. I've coached over 150 athletes to Boston qualifiers. I've helped more than 25 athletes represent Canada. And on the mental performance side, I work with Olympians and pros on the mental side of performance. So whether you're building towards your first 5K, fine-tuning for the elite level, or trying to conquer trail races as you'll hear today, this show helps you run fast, stay focused, and perform free. All right, let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Matt Urbanski. Matt, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Brant?
Good. You're up in Boulder right now. You're getting ready to fly out.
You are correct. Yes, I'm flying out next week for the 24-hour World Championships in Albi, France.
Yeah, and let's just jump right into that because I think that's one of the cool reasons to talk to you because I dabble in trail. You are an expert in trail, unlike me, and you've got the World 24-Hour Champs. So how did you qualify for that team?
Well, first off, I have to clarify. For 24-hour World Champs, that is not trail running. It's ultra running, but it's not trail running.
Okay.
So it is a 1,500-meter loop, primarily on pavement, with 400 meters of it on a track. And we run around and around for 24 hours. Whoever goes the farthest in 24 hours wins. It's totally flat. And then for world champs, it's every country can have up to 6 athletes competing, and your top 3 finishers are scored, and they just take the total distance from your top 3 finishers to then have the winning countries. So yeah, that's going on next weekend. So on the 18th of October in Albi, France, and I'm one of 6 U.S. guys running on the team. And the way I qualified was it's different per country. But for the United States, they take your top 6 performers during a set qualifying window. I think it was from December of 2023 until May of this year. And those top 6 people with their performances are offered a spot on the team. And so I had the 5th best performance from running the 24-hour race in Albi, France last October, where I ran 152 miles. So that's how I got in.
That's insane. First off, 152 miles. Yeah. And so like lots of people are dipping their toes into ultra right now. Right. And so for some people that's 50K, 50 mile, 80K, 100 and such. So what made you go, you know what, I want to do something crazy and go 24 hours and do as much as I can?
I had no interest in this event at all. I didn't know it existed until a few years ago. My younger brother, Jeff, who also is an ultra runner, and I've coached him for probably 6 years now. He figured he knew people that were doing this and thought maybe he had a chance to like do really well at it. He and I we're both from Ohio originally, which is totally where we grew up. It's totally flat. We're like rhythm runners. We can just dial into a pace and just go. And so he got into this. I coached him for it, and then he said, "You should try this." And of course, I tried it, and I hated it. It's a really it's a really hard event mentally, I think, and physically. But I've yet to be totally satisfied with, I know I can do more, so I keep trying. I've tried 3 of them now. And he actually qualified for the U.S. team for the 2023 World Championships in Taipei, Taiwan. So he didn't make it for this cycle, but now this is the 2nd World Champion cycle that there's been an Urbanski guy on the team. So he got me into it. He and I did our first 100-miler together back in 2011. So we kind of gotten into the ultra thing together.
Early adopters for sure, because that's when it was fringe to do ultra versus now it's like mainstream almost, it seems like.
Yeah, it's way more common and popular. I mean, I did my first 50-mile race in 2008, and so it's a thing. Everyone knows about it now, but we've kind of grown up with the whole ultra movement.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And what is training like? What does that look like for you in the last kind of 10, 12 weeks or so?
My training this year has been crap. I've had a lot of life stuff going on. I moved from Portugal back to Boulder, going through a separation with my spouse. There's just lots of stuff going on. So my training has been terrible. But in general, my focus when it's 24 hours, and also even with ultras in general, is I'm primarily like a marathon runner, focusing on my aerobic fitness. And then there's some like more specifically with trail and mountain races. I need to throw in some real like race specific stuff in the last 6 to 8 weeks. But for this race now coming up next weekend, it's been largely about my aerobic fitness. I know I can go long. Yeah. I ran UTMB back in August, which was just 6 weeks ago. So like I've gone, that was almost a 30-hour run. And so I've got that component already dialed in. I've just been working on trying to basically be faster at zone 2 and make it feel easier. So that's been my focus the last few weeks.
And that's an interesting piece. So you and I have talked about this like at Team RunRun conversations and stuff about how like trail running broadly, let's say, is really good marathon training, right? And so what have you kind of added into that? Like what's some of the, let's say, specific stuff you've done for this one?
Yeah, I mean, I would say road running can be really good for trail running, and you can get a lot of good I think trail running, they're beneficial to each other. When you race or run on trails a lot, there are just a few things I think that you really need to focus on. Like one is just like spending time on trail and even getting like some technical trail and rocks and roots and just getting your lower legs accustomed to doing it, and even like developing the proprioception to be like quick on your feet and not trip over stuff. Like that takes practice. It's a skill. It's not a like building your aerobic system, right? It is a skill that you just have to practice. So there's just trail time, but then I think the most specific thing, and I think that people sort of flip this and look at it like not optimally, is focus on downhill running on trails. Like unless you're running flat gravel bike path trail races, like you need to get good at downhill running. The muscle damage that you deal with, and even just the trail skill of getting your body accustomed to moving fast on downhill is the biggest game changer, especially if you're either competitive in a race or you're like pushing up against time cutoffs in ultras. Like if you are fast and efficient on downhill, you are gonna do really well. Like people, and when I say people's focus is often flipped, is a lot of people who get into mountain racing think they need to work on uphill, but uphill is more of there are some muscular adaptations that you need, but that's largely a component of your aerobic fitness, whereas downhill running is very skill based and takes practice. So with runners I coach, I have a lot of people doing downhill repeats where I want them to push their limits on how fast they can go and get comfortable with going downhill fast. Even in my own development as a trail runner, in the last couple of years, I've finally kind of broken through some really like mental barriers of like being able to go faster. And it's a huge component to being competitive in an ultra race. If you can move fast and downhills, that's where it's at.
Yeah, it is interesting. I hear that all the time, like whether it's road running or trail running, it's like I got to get better at uphills, right? And I get that, but I think you're actually limited. Like you can literally only go so fast up and uphill. Now, obviously, you could argue you can only go so fast down and downhill, but I think you're right. There's way more to gain by going fast down a hill relative than there is to going up the hill. Like unless you're Killian, just friggin' mountain goating it up everything, right?
Yeah,
but,
if you can run, there's stuff that even Killian is walking, right? And so maybe his walking speed is a little faster than your walking speed or my walking speed, but the differential is not that big. Whereas like Killian and the pros can fly down the mountain, whereas like most runners are sort of like cautiously picking their way down, and the time gap that people make on those downhills is massive.
And so what kind of stuff, you said you're having your athletes, or what's kind of the like base prescription, or how do you build that up with the downhill running? And
we do downhill repeats where like maybe I start out with like 5 by 2 minutes fast on a downhill and a non-technical downhill. Just like
a road downhill, like an
not a road. I do want to trail. Like there is more
trail,
injury risk with downhill running because of the impact force.
Yeah.
It's significantly higher. So you have to like be mindful about how you fit that into the training cycle. And like, I would prefer dirt, but like smooth, like not technical trail. And so maybe you're only getting like, say like 4 to 5 reps, 2 minutes at a time. You're getting 8 to 10 minutes of hard downhill running. Most runners, the first time they do that workout, 2 days later, they have sore quads. Like they are beat up from that. And it's great. Like they're going to adapt quickly, but they will know, like you'll be like, oh, it's a good thing I did that because that destroyed me. And then I build up to where people are doing, say, like 3 by 5 minutes fast on a downhill. I mean, sometimes if people run a race like UTMB or Hardrock where there are hour-long descents, we're going to do some longer reps. But or maybe they'll do like a power hour in a long run, or maybe they've got a 4-hour run and they do a 30-minute warm-up, and then they run an hour at kind of like more like a marathon to 50K effort, where like they're really attacking the downhills. So they might get some prolonged downhill work, but it's getting a few of those just like hard interval sessions, and then they hype back up. And comments I get in training logs all the time are like, "Wow, that was a sneaky way to get a lot of burden too," because they're getting like they got to go back up the hill. The uphill is their recovery.
Recovery, right? Yeah, I like that. No, that's good.
And then I might build up to having more like technical stuff mixed in too, to be like, okay, you're getting really efficient at downhills. Let's start throwing in a little tougher terrain. Or like, I have a lot of runners who, they get pretty skilled at going fast downhill, but then you get them on really technical terrain and they're just like, they don't have the proprioception to move their feet fast. Yeah. And so we start working on some more aggressive downhill running on technical trail. And that's more specific to like, what kind of races are they doing and getting them ready for that. But that's like another nuance to it, depending upon what their goals are.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the interesting things compared to road is there's nuances in road coaching for like marathon, half marathon, et cetera. But I think what like you're highlighting here is the nuances in trail are very highly like target race specific almost, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of variables in trail running that you don't have in road running, which, I mean, it's a fun challenge as a runner and a coach, I think, to try and figure it out. But it's there's more pieces to the puzzle often to solve if you want to do really well in a trail race.
I think that's one of the interesting things that I've noticed about trail coaching is there's far less of the like stock trail plans, like as opposed to like you can get a stock marathon plan literally anywhere. You can Google it and get it for free or pay for it or whatever. But that, at least from what I've seen, hasn't crossed over into the trail sphere. Is that fair? Like, have you seen that as well?
I mean, there are plenty of stock trail training plans, and they're a fine place to start, but it's like getting like a strength program online. Like, it's not targeted to like you specifically, or like in this case to the race specifically that you're preparing for. Yeah. I mean, and even when like I know coaches who will write stock training plans for specific trail races, and I mean that's better, but it's still not like, what is the word, like refined for the person and where they're at in their running to like really be targeted for a race.
Right. And so thinking about that, how are you looking at, like, if you're approaching a new athlete who's training for an ultra technical, like what are you looking at to decide and navigate that individuality in terms of what they need?
So the question is, it's a trail race with a lot of technical elements to it. Yeah. I mean, one, it's always still aerobic fitness, right? Like, I'm still training them like a marathon runner most of the time, and they have some sort of like high aerobic threshold sort of work during the week. Usually we often will have some VO2 max stuff earlier in the cycle with like often on uphill, just to work. It's a good way to work VO2 max and get some uphill muscular development going. But and then it's really like, okay, so it's a technical trail race. Like, we're obviously working downhill. We're going to work on making sure we can be fast technical downhill. And then one of the things that's different then for me from, say, like a road runner and a trail runner is then, like, as we get into the last, say, 6 to 8 weeks, and maybe a little longer depending upon the duration of the race and like how many ultras the runner maybe has done before. Like, if I've got someone who's done 10 100-milers, their training is going to look different than the person who, even if they're really fast and fit, it's their first 100-miler on a trail, right? Like, for me, I don't do a lot of long runs anymore to prepare for my long ultras because my body has been there. Like, it can go long. Yeah. Whereas for someone doing their first one, they're going to have some more what I call race simulation runs. So, like, that might mean in the last 8 weeks, we have three or four weekends where they have, say, like a 5 or 6 hour run on Saturday and a 3 or 4 hour run on Sunday, where it's going to be, we're trying to simulate race terrain, race elevation. If there's a required gear kit, they're carrying that required gear kit. They're eating what they're going to eat during the race. And so during that, it's like, okay, well, you got to find technical terrain to practice on. You know, we're practicing, we may do some workouts. Maybe we'll do some of our threshold workouts during the week on a trail, if that's possible. Like, you can get a lot from running fast on a trail, not just race effort on a trail. Like, your proprioception can get refined quickly if you're trying to run fast on a trail. Even if it's like not downhill work, it's just like, say you're doing a 3 by 10 minute tempo workout with a 3-minute jog rest. You do that on a trail with some rocks. That's a totally different experience than doing that on a track. And you can bump up your trail skills quickly. So some of this depends on where the athlete lives too. It's like, it becomes a more challenging puzzle to solve when, say, like, you're training for Hardrock, which has 33,000 feet of vert and mountain trails, and it gets up to 14,000 feet elevation, and you live in Houston, Texas, right? Like, that's another challenge to solve. It's like, well, we're not going to get the hills and the vert, so we need a treadmill for that. But then we need some downhill work, and we need rocks and technical stuff. So, like, where can we go find rocks with the biggest hills you can find that we can run fast down? But yeah, it's like trying to get all those components based on, you know, the person's lifestyle, where they live, what they have time for. But yeah, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. It's fun. It's a fun one to solve.
Yeah, no doubt. And so, what, like, thinking about all those pieces that have to come together to race, what are some of the common like misconceptions you see newer athletes come to the trail who might ask you to coach them that think this is what I need to do? Like, what do you see commonly from newbies to the trail?
So say someone, it's like December and they signed up for their first 100-miler in like June or July, and it's got 20,000 feet of vert, and they're like, oh my gosh, they start hiking right away. You know, like, they get out to the trails and I got to hike these trails and work on my uphill hiking. And like, that's like usually the last thing you should do. Like, the way I would look at, say you've got that new person doing their first, I'll just say 100-miler, because that's like a very unique, it's kind of on the far end of the spectrum. But a lot of people jump to that because it's a cool experience. People should try. If you have any inkling, any sort of like, I'm curious about that, you should check it out. It's like a life-changing experience, I think. I've seen it repeatedly with athletes I coach. I've had it myself. But yeah, when people, like, it's the winter, they sign up for this summer mountain ultra, they immediately think, oh, I got to get out on the trails and hike and hike and hike. And I flip it and say, you do the most race-specific stuff closest to the race. You do the least race-specific stuff further from the race. So it's like, cool, it's the winter. Let's start working on your aerobic fitness. Maybe let's do an early spring marathon. Like, let's get fit, let's get fast. And then as we make our way towards the spring, that's when we start doing downhill trail stuff. And we spend more time on trail. Maybe we start doing your aerobic workouts on the trail. And then in the last 6 weeks, let's put on the vest. Let's get it filled with water and food and all your required gear, and let's hike. And then you get good at hiking, but you're already fit, you're fast, and then you just get the last, like, race element type stuff at the end. Whereas people tend to flip it, and they never do the fast stuff. They only do long, slow stuff, and they don't reach their potential. And then one of the comments a lot of people will say is, well, I'm not in this to be competitive. Like, I don't care about being fast. And like, that may be true, but like, when you're out there, it's like, well, could you run it in 24 hours or could you run it in 30 hours? Like, most people, like,
that's a big difference.
It's a huge difference. And if you're faster because you've done some aerobic training, like, you can lop off tons of hours in that. And if for nothing else, like, the odds of things going wrong, which they inevitably, you have, one of the cool things about 100-milers is, like, problems will arise and you have to solve them. And that's one of the cool things about it. Like, if you're going to do well at this sport, you have to be able to stay calm and cool and solve problems. And if you're out there for 24 hours, the odds of problems are lower than if you're out there for 30 hours, right? The longer you're out there, the more likely it is you have a problem to solve. if you're out there for 16 hours because you got really fast, like the odds of problems go down. So yeah, I try and get people as fit as they can be, and then we work on the race specifics later, whereas people tend to flip that and just start hiking up hills the moment they sign up for a mountain race.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I think one of the other things that's like flipped the other way, come from the trail world to the road running world, is the high carb movement. I know your coach talks about that a lot, but what have you noticed if you've done the high carb kind of scene here in terms of like performance, even the mental side of performance too, being a little bit more fueled?
I mean, I think it's the same road and trail. Like you want to get the carbs in, like.
Yeah, I just think trail brought it to us in road. Like y'all trail people were doing it way before we were on the road.
And I mean, I don't know this as a fact, but like I think it probably came from cycling first, and then to trails, and then to roads. But like, yeah, it's. I mean, even before it became a thing, like for me, the way I coached and the way I didn't have the full like science backing that people talk about now, but it was like whenever there was a problem, right? Something was feeling off. I was feeling tired. It was like, first thing you should do, eat a gel. Get some carbs in. Like, you're feeling a little, like, grumpy, eat. Most of the time, that took care of the problem. Like, and now we know, oh, yeah, you're just burning a lot of carbs. Like, you need to keep the system going. And so now it's just more of a calculated thing with, like, okay, how many grams of carbs are you getting in per hour? How many can you tolerate? Like, what's the strategy for making sure we get that in? What do you do when suddenly you can't eat because you feel like you're going to puke? And now, on top of the carbs, now we're also talking about milligrams of sodium and electrolytes, because that's another big thing in trail running. So, like, trail running has gotten more and more specifically with ultras, like more and more refined with grams of carbs, milligrams of sodium, and, like, getting that combination right if you're going to increase your odds of getting through the run feeling decent.
Yeah. And so with that in mind, what are you planning for 24 hours? What's your fueling protocol?
I mean, I am almost all sports drink and gels. Like that's mainly what I eat. I have a lot of different varieties of gels I can eat and be comfortable with, which is good because like there are times where certain gels just won't go down anymore. Like I used to be able to do Morden, and like sometimes now like that consistency just won't go. I like precision gels, and those usually go, but sometimes they don't. I have the cis beta ones. I have the cis isotonic ones. Like, there are a lot of them I can use. Sometimes I'll just eat the waffles, the Knack or Honey Stinger, or there's a million brands of them. I can eat those. I'll drink like Scratch or Tailwind. I'm probably gonna throw some LMNT or some other like additional sodium in if I'm sweating and I'm feeling a little off from some of the symptoms from maybe a little hyponatremia. I'll like throw in some extra sodium. And then I'm also prepared when things are going wrong to, like last year I'm vegan. So I had these like vegan ravioli, and it's a 1,500 meter loop. And I told my crew, I was like, look, I'm feeling a little off. Like, can you have a bowl of ravioli ready? And so I came around the next loop. I grabbed my ravioli. I just kept walking on the loop and ate ravioli. And it was just like having a little more sodium, a little more solid, probably a little fat in there that just like settled my stomach more. At UTMB, they had veggie broth, which was just a good like extra sodium boost, which was good. So they're just like, sometimes I have burritos. Like there's something like sometimes just having some solid food to put in. It's usually like high salt tends to be a problem solver later in the ultra, but it's mainly gels and Tailwind or Scratch or whatever like we've got at the table.
Yeah, it's interesting because like the few ultra runners I've coached, I've always said to them, you might not think you will, but at some point you're going to want something different than like Scratch or Morton or whatever. And I always tell them, have some random solid food that you love at the table, so that way when you're like, I can't get another friggin' gel down, right? You can reach for it, just like for you.
But to be fair, like I did UTMB this year in 29 hours and 55 minutes. And I did the entire thing on gels. And then the stuff they had Knack, sports drink, and Knack, like the waffles. I had 2 cups of broth, veggie broth. And that's what I had for 30 hours. I lived on Knack sports drink, waffles, gels, and 2 cups of broth. That's all I had the entire race. So sometimes it works.
Do you find, like, because of your experience and years of doing this, feeling that way, like you're better able to live on that diet, so to speak, in the competition, as opposed to what you're seeing with
it's
new
a
runners
it's a
sometimes?
trained thing. Like, you can train your gut to take in different carbs and take in more carbs, just like you can train your muscles to like be more efficient with oxygen. So yes, you should practice your fueling strategies. And like, I often will have my athletes who I'm coaching, they'll write in like how many grams of carbs per hour they took in, how it felt. And they're like, oh, I'm up to 80 right now. And then I'll have someone be like, let's try 100. Or let's try 120 and see what happens. Mm-hmm. And like, we push the limits on how much they can consume. And it's a thing that we practice, just like we practice for downhill running.
Yeah, it's funny. I get questions with the road runners all the time. It's like, how do you carry that much gels? I don't know if I can carry those many gels or bottles or whatever. I'm like, I don't know, but guys are doing it out for friggin' 24-hour races, so I'm pretty sure for our 3-hour race here on the road, we can do it, right?
You can figure it out. Like, wear some compression shorts. Maybe you have a couple pockets in them. Tuck some in there. Tuck one in your arm sleeve. Like, it's doable. It's worth it, too.
Totally. That's what I'm having to have the discussion all the time. It's like, what about the extra weight and stuff? And I'm like, it's minimal relative to the potential downside of the like low carb bonk towards the end, right?
No, road running, it's so funny, the whole history of like hitting the wall in the marathon is like, you burn through your carbs. You need to just get some carbs in. Easy. Yeah. It still hurts and it still sucks, but it's way better when you fuel.
Absolutely. There's a story of Cam Levins drinks Country Time lemonade.
Oh yeah, that's
bottles. Like, I don't know if that's like 1,000% true.
Yeah.
But like, I've heard that's what he drinks in his bottles, like when he set the record in Tokyo.
Nice.
Which is crazy. So I'm like, good for you, man. Earlier on, you talked about like the mental side of everything this year, the mental side of doing 24 hours and what that like does to you per se. Can you tell us like some of the tricks, tips, and such you either use as yourself, like in the middle of what you're about to do next week, or that you're giving athletes to kind of navigate some of those things? You know, I imagine, never done one, but 18 hours into a 24-hour race is probably not a fun headspace sometimes.
That is one of the low spots usually. And like, now that I've done 3 of them, I know what's coming. I mean, I remember my second 24-hour race, I was like 4 or 5 hours, and then I'm like, people will be like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm fine now, but I know it's coming. Like, it's coming for me. Yeah. Like, it's inevitable. I would say some of the, like, it is, yes, you need to prepare physically, but there's a huge mental element to this that I think, one, it's good to prepare for, and then 2, I think it's one of the more valuable things I have in my life now, like looking back to be like, wow, I've learned strategies over the last 15 years of doing this sport that translate over to solving things in my life, in my personal life, that like, I mean, I have kids, and it's my ability to be patient and calm and solve problems are so much better because of my ultra running. So, and even like for perspective. So like, one of the things I talk about with runners, even marathon runners, but specifically ultra runners, is like, you have to manage the moment, right? Like, if you're in mile 6 of a marathon and you're thinking about your finishing time, like, that's not helpful, right? Like, you're like, oh, you suddenly get off your pace target. It's really easy to get into this negative mental spiral and like lose it. And even more so in an ultra, right? Like, you're 4 hours into 24 hours and you feel terrible, something's wrong. You think, there's no way I can do this for 20 more hours, right? Like that. Yeah. That is the way most people get into this really negative headspace that is really hard to perform well in. Yeah. And so one of the keys is you can't be 4 hours into 24 hours and think, oh, I've got these big problems. How can I do 20 more hours? You think, oh, I've got these big problems. How do I solve them? What's wrong? What are my options? How can I keep moving forward? Do I need to take a break to like fix something, or like, do I need to slow down? Do I need to eat something? Is it like electrolytes? Like, what is going on? How can I fix it? And with that, I think like the more like calm and sort of like clear you can keep your head, the better. Like, I feel like when I transitioned from track and road running to trails, I was like more stressed. I was used to like, everything has to be right. Everything has to be now. And
yeah,
just
split.
Yeah. And it was just like, no, you actually need to like be able to like stay calm. And it's actually helped me in my road running to be like, okay, what's going on? What's the situation? How do I fix it? and then not be thinking about the finish and my time and my splits so much. Because like, if you don't solve this problem, it's all gone. Like, so like,
Yeah.
stay in the moment and like manage things. Like, you know, like when I give, I've got a road marathoner doing, say someone doing Chicago this weekend. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, we've got an idea of like a pace that we should hit that like gets us the goals that we want, but it doesn't mean every mile needs to be exactly that. It might be, but like, we'll say, look, like here's a target range. As long as you're in that range, and that might be 10-second range, it might be 15-second range, depends on the athlete and how dialed in we are and how many they've done. But it's like, okay, be in this 15-second range. And like, we know based on your training, like this is a heart rate zone, like between here and here that like you've been able to maintain fine. Yep. And then you need your RPE and your perceived effort to be like, how do I feel? And so rather than think like, oh, am I on pace? Am I on pace? Oh, I'm going to hit my goal time. I'm not going to hit my goal time. You know, like whatever. You're thinking, oh, right now, like that split was in the zone. My heart rate is in the zone. I feel fine. I need to eat. Like they're staying in the moment and managing that.
Yeah.
And as you get to the like closer and closer to the finish, you can start being more and more aggressive and thinking more and more about that finish line and the time. And that's like what pulls you to the end. It's the same story in an ultra. Like you just have to like stay in the moment, manage it aid station to aid station, take care of your business. And then as you get like to a more manageable distance to the finish line, then you can start thinking about, oh, if I push now, I might get, if I can stay on this, if I can do this, I can get under 24 hours. Or like, oh, like I'm on the podium if I can do this. Like that, then you start thinking about it when it's a more manageable distance, not when you have 70 miles to go. People get in trouble when they start thinking about, oh, I'm on the podium when they have 70 miles to go. Even they have 40 miles to go.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah, like it's hard to stay like, to like have that carrot be pulling you for that long. It doesn't work for most people most of the time.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about the like RPE, heart rate, pace type thing. I literally just did a video on this on like how to properly like easy run and using that triangulation of the three.
Yeah.
And then speaking of Chicago, this reminded me. So last year, Elena did Chicago's, her PR 246. And I remember you're watching on the tracker and everything. And she went out faster through the first, I think, 5K and 10K than we had anticipated, right?
Yeah.
And I saw her at 22. And she was like smiling, talking, doing all those things. And I was like, perfect. I knew I could trust her that if she was on, then the pace would be whatever it is. Yeah. And so, and that's over 2 hours and 46 minutes, let alone what you guys have to calibrate, the like zooming in and zooming out of all the shit problems that are going on, right? And being able to do that. And so do you find that sometimes you need to just turn the data completely off, like switch your watch around, or, you know, stop looking at it and just dial into RP, or just zoom out to some happier place maybe sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a whole toolkit, a suite of problem solving skills that you develop the more you do these things. Obviously working with a coach who has done it can help like have things set up, but like I'm going to go do 24 hours. And I know, like, for example, for me, I want to keep my heart rate under 140. That's a really chill effort for me. Like, if I stay in the 130s, I don't really care what the pace is as long as it feels relaxed and the heart rate's in the 130s, totally fine. If I'm feeling, like, beat up, like, I need to, like, maybe adjust a little bit. But, like, I have sort of those sort of gauges that I pay attention to. Whereas, like, 20 hours in, I don't really care what my heart rate is. Like, that's not what I'm thinking about. I'm probably not going to get up to 140 at that point. Like, I'm so, like, broken down that, like, I need to just keep moving. And I might care more about pace then. I might be like, oh, just keep on this. Or I might, like, have a strategy of, like, walk to there, then run to there, and then walk to there, and then run to there. Like, just keep going, whatever it may be. But, like, I have things in the 24-hour where it's like, well, I'm going to have a watch. We're not allowed to have phones in this because you're not allowed to communicate during championship races. Yeah. But like I have a watch that's got music on it. So I'm going to try and wait till at least 6 hours before I put on my headphones. Like, you know, like I'm just feeling a little low. I need distracted. Let's put some music on. That's one of them, right? Like there are, like I time my caffeine. I'll have some coffee in the morning. It's a 10 a.m. start. But then I'm probably not going to have any caffeine until hopefully midnight. Because I know I'm going to be low between 2 and 6. And, like, it's really hard. But, like, that's when that boost of caffeine is like, oh, that was good. Like you want to use those things. You know, like, there's, in ultras, it's using, like, ibuprofen or Tylenol is kind of controversial, but it's legal right now. as we speak.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to time, like I might use some Tylenol or like an ibuprofen, like when certain things are feeling achy. It's like, I take 400 milligrams of ibuprofen. It's like, whew, I don't hurt so much anymore. Like I'm fine. Like I can stay in the zone.
Yeah.
So it's like all of these different, or it's like, oh, my stomach's a little off. Can you give me that ravioli the next loop around? You know, like, there's just all these little things you can do to get you out of a funk. And the more you do these, the more you recognize those little down trends coming. But more importantly, like the mental game of like, okay, I know these are coming. And I know like it's going to suck, but I will get out of it. And the more relaxed I can be, the more like solutions thinking I can be and not worrying about my total time or my distance or place, like the quicker I can get out of that hole, the better.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the tools that I give to athletes, like in the clinical practice, I'd give it in the running side, but in my clinical practice is reminding them that they are not their thoughts, right? The voice in your head isn't you. You're just the one hearing it, right? And so does that resonate with you, like thinking about 18 hours in where those thoughts are coming in and going like, whoa, I can't think of that thought as me. Like you have to kind of disassociate from that thought.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a bit of a like I don't know, I'm not a therapist, but like more of like a cognitive behavioral therapist sense that like we have some influence over our thoughts. And so like I might recognize a negative thought and be like, I know that's not helpful. Like this is not where like I did this during UTMB where I started thinking like, I don't want to do these anymore. Like I've been doing long ultras for 15 years. I just don't want to do these anymore. I'm tired of this. I don't want this. And then I recognized pretty quickly, I was like, that might be true, but that's not helpful for getting to the end right now. So like, let's shelve that thought. Yeah, I recognize that's in there, but like, that is not going to help me get back to Chamonix in a good, efficient way. And that's what I want right now. So like, what do I need to be thinking about that's going to keep me moving well? Yeah, there's definitely that component of like, I recognize thoughts, I recognize feelings, but then what am I going to do with it? And learning to do that in running has totally helped like translate to regular life. It's like, cool, I feel really angry right now about whatever's going on in my life. What am I going to do with that? Not just like react. I'm going to take a moment and be like, I have this feeling. What do I do with it? And the more you can do that as an ultra runner or a marathon runner, the better you're going to be at these like more sort of like mental elements of these endurance sports, which is huge in your success.
And kind of on that note, thinking about you've done this for 15 years, you're probably tired of it. That's probably true, and maybe not what you should be thinking about a week out. But what's left for you in trail? Like, what goals do you still have that if you had a list when you got into this, what is it you still want to accomplish?
I just like doing it now. I mean, I like the experience. So like I've done the big races. Like I don't have a list of bucket races anymore. Like I've run UTMB 3 times. I've run Western States twice. I've run Hardrock. I've run a ton of races. I'm just going to keep doing them because like every time I do them, there's like some sort of like reward. Like I'm a stronger person because of it. And like going through that exercise of challenging myself in that way. Like I tell a lot of people as they're getting into 100 milers, like part of the sale, like why you should do it is because it's going to take you to mental places you probably haven't been to in your life. Like most people like that are going to listen to this or that work with you or work with me have a fairly comfortable life and they are generally successful. Like they're not used to quitting. They're not used to failing. And when it's really common, you get out in this 100-mile race and you want to quit and you can make a really convincing argument about why you should quit, but you don't normally quit. And you have this like personal crisis that you go through where it's like all you want to do is stop and you have every good reason to stop. And you don't ever stop. Why would you stop? And you go through this sort of like mental exercise where you're just like, you come out of that and then you come out of this low during the middle of the race and you're like, you feel so good. And then you go down in the hole again and you're like, I hate this. Why am I doing this? I could quit, but I don't quit. And you get out of it again and you make it through this experience and you're just like, wow, like it's a life-changing experience for so many people when they do it. Particularly people who are normally very successful in life, right? Like it's also a good thing for people who have gone through a lot of challenges. Like there are a lot of people who are like recovering from different addictions that like get a lot out of it too. You know, there's stuff in it for everybody, but like it's just this really unique life experience, and I keep finding that like every time I do it, I get something new out of it. So I don't know. I'm just gonna keep doing it. I mean, I like doing it fast. I like trying to do it as well as I can. So I don't know where it's gonna lead, but I'm gonna keep doing it. I during UTMB this year, I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And I was talking to my new partner like right after the race, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And then the next day, she was like, still think you're not gonna do it anymore? Are you serious about that? I was like, no, I'll probably at least put my name in the lottery for Hardrock and Western and UTMB next year, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, cool. Well, you're making me think about it. I get lots of people asking me to do one.
You should try
background and stuff. And I'm considering. I love cross country. That was my best discipline, like through high school and college, and I think that translates over really well. And you know, you're talking earlier about the proprioception and trail running and stuff. Like, if I'm on trails with my friends, I'm just boom, 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 gone kind of thing. Like, I like that part. I don't have the durability yet, so I got to work on that part. But you just there made me think about wanting to do one. So
it's amazing. It's like such a new life experience. I mean, the first time I DNF'd my first one, I had so many problems, and I got out of the hole, and then I went back in it, and I got out, and I was like, I'm gonna do this, and I ended up quitting at mile 80, and I never quit anything before, and it like led to like a lot of life changes. It was amazing. So yeah, I'm all for it. And then like the more you do them, the better your body gets at like the muscle breakdown and the fatigue management, and then when you go back and do a road marathon and you're like, oh, that was only 2.5, 3 hours. Like, it was so fast. You're like, wow, it's almost done. Let's push. I remember I PR'd at CIM after like doing a few 100-milers. I ran like 2:33, I think. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm in the last 3 miles. Let's go.
That's awesome. No, that's cool. Well, who knows? Maybe I'll, if I jump into the trail world, I'll give you an email and you can set me up, I suppose.
Good. Yeah, I'll give you some tips.
Good. I want to transition to Team RunRun. You know, this podcast doesn't exist without Team RunRun, not because you're paying for it, to be clear, but you know, that platform to be able to coach and share this stuff. You know, I've been greatly influenced by Team RunRun and everything you and Julie have built. And so, can you like kind of walk people through who might not know Team RunRun and how it kind of started? Because you guys did this before online coaching was like mainstream, like it is now, right? And it's obviously built into what I think is this big, beautiful thing. And so I wanted to hear some of the insights in terms of how this started and how it's got to where it is today.
I mean, I started coaching in 2014, and then it shifted to more and more online coaching by 2016 because Julie and I lived really nomadically for like ever since our oldest son was born. When he was 4 months old, we left Seattle and like started traveling. And so I did all my coaching online. And then I actually had a number of friends who were into coaching, and they were like, oh, I went in on this. And so I got the idea to make a marketplace. And we made a marketplace and helped them grow their coaching. And it's just gradually grown over the years to where like the biggest thing that makes it work is that like coaching is all about this athlete coach relationship, and we've really focused on that and trying to foster those relationships to help runners like go on their own journey and have an expert there with them. I mean, that's what I've done with my athletes. I've got people I've got one guy, we're in year 11 together. Yeah, like, and we've gone through like road marathons, and now he's like 200 milers and everything in between. And it's just like we're buddies, and it's awesome. And so trying to like foster more and more of that. And yeah, we just made. I mean, we made a marketplace. We've probably got 300 coaches now for athletes to choose from, and trying to find the right fit for each athlete based on their goals and their budget, and helping coaches get into this so that runners can find them. But yeah, it's been an amazing thing to watch, and like people like you who have taken it on as a full-time profession, seeing your success is motivating, and it's all about that relationship. So it's really cool to see those. Like thousands of those fostered over the last 7 years that we've been doing this. 8 years now.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm going on year 3 coming up here soon, and it is true. Like, I mean, I get to talk to a lot of the coaches and see a lot of the coaches and stuff, and it truly is game changing for athletes as well too, and coaches to like have this marketplace where athletes can just pick who they want to coach them. Like, we got like Dakota and CJ, and then we've got moms who just picked up running who want to give back and help others. And literally every person, it seems, can find a coach on Team RunRun.
Yeah.
Was that part of the kind of initial thesis, was like somebody should be able to be coached by anyone? There should be choices for every type of athlete.
Yeah, because like there are not every runner wants a pro, like a runner who runs 220 marathons, right? Like they might want someone they can relate to. And there are like lots of different paths to get where you want to go as a runner also. So it's like you might have your philosophy, I have mine, and all the other Team RunRun coaches have their own like ways that they do things, and they get runners where they want to go that way. And so yeah, it's just a different way. Like I'm not great with like beginner runners and couch to 5K runners. Like I have a hard time relating to like run walk. Not that I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. Like that's where people are on their journey, and like that's what that's like what they need to do. But like I'm not the best coach for that. But we have coaches on Team RunRun who are great with that, and they might even be great at like sending out motivational texts in the morning because like they like that stuff. That's not my jam, right? So like I wanted coaches on the platform that like I knew I wasn't the coach for everyone, but like I wanted there to be options for every runner out there. And I also think there was, for a long time, not as much now, but there was this misconception that coaches were really only meant for really serious runners, like ones that were fast and trying to win. And it's like, no, I think people benefit the most are people who know the least, and like they want to just get into the sport. And they get someone on their side who's sort of like their buddy, their running buddy in this journey. They can get so much out of it. Because like a lot of times, I mean, like the normal Team RunRun athlete is like a middle-aged recreational runner who's somehow gotten the bug. They've picked up the sport for whatever reason, whether it's a 5K or a 10K or a marathon or an ultra, whatever it is. They're into it. And they might not have a social circle that is into the same thing that they're into. Their partner, their spouse might not be into this thing they're into. And they connect with their running coach, and it's just like they've got someone to geek out with on everything running. And it's so cool. Like, and they have someone who's paying attention and who they're accountable to. Like, they're like, I don't want to go run today, but I know Brant's going to be looking at this. And I don't want to write in that I didn't do it today. And they go do it, right? And then they're excited. They have this great run, and they're like, Brant, let me tell you, like, I didn't want to do it, but I did it. It was raining, and it sucked, but then I felt awesome. And, like, it's just this really positive thing that builds up in people's lives. And they get healthier, and they have fun, and they tend to make friends. And, yeah, it's a cool sport. And this is just, like, helping people grow in the sport and be more healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been amazing, like even in the 3 years since I've been around, to see the growth in the last couple of years too, in terms of coaches coming on and athletes growing and the performances and things that are going on. So kudos to you and Julie for putting that marketplace out there, because it's clearly worked really well. It's
very cool. It's awesome. It's fun to be part of it and to see it working and just see people like loving the sport.
Absolutely. So give us a little bit about where people can find you if they want to be coached by you, they want to connect with you. Where can people find you?
I mean, I'm on the Team RunRun website. I still take on runners, not as much these days, but like I'm available. So you just look for me on the Team RunRun website. Just search for my name, Matt Urbanski. Yep. You can't find me otherwise. I'm not findable. I do have Strava, but I don't write anything. It just shows my runs. So if you really want to look at my running, you can, but that's all you're going to find. And I'm purposefully like not on Instagram, not on Facebook, not on LinkedIn. I'm not on any of it. I focus on like the business and my family and my running, and I don't do a lot of the other stuff. But Team RunRun is pumping out all sorts of good resources. We've got a lot of cool events happening at marathons this year and group meetups, and we have coaches sharing all sorts of tips and tricks on writing articles. You can follow us on Instagram and at Facebook, and like there's a lot of good information sharing going on. But yeah, if you ever want to reach out to me through Team RunRun, and I'd be happy to connect with anyone who wants to connect about any of this stuff.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, thanks for jumping on today, and good luck at 24-hour champs.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready to like go there. I'm like getting myself mentally ready to go there. Just I know there's like a lot of low points coming up, but like there'll be some highs, and it's gonna be fun. Like there's 6 U.S. men, 6 U.S. women. We have our our like whole team thing set up, meeting in France
Right
next
on.
week. So it should be cool.
Cool. Well, good luck. We'll be cheering on, man.
Thanks, Brant. Appreciate it.